So welcome to today's coaching clinic, and I just want to invite you all here to just relax into this moment, whatever you've been doing today. Here and now is a time that we can come together and receive some really good and deep healing. Today I want to talk about when it looks like your relationship is the problem. And so before we begin, I normally like to do a little guided meditation visualization just to help ground us and be here. So if you'll close your eyes, join me here and just imagine your feet, or plant your feet on the ground, and place your hands on your lower tummy. Try not to judge how that feels, but rather just begin to let yourself fall into the chair with your breaths. So breathing in through the nose, 2, 3, 4, and out through the nose of the mouth on the same rhythm, 2, 3, 4. Let's continue that sequence for a couple of minutes, just breathing in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And out through the nose or the mouth, 2, 3, 4. Keep that rhythm going for a few moments. You'll notice how effective your breathing is in helping you if you are actually falling into the chair a bit more deeply, or if you're noticing that any tension you've been holding is beginning to dissipate. So let's keep that rhythm going. In, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. And I want you to see roots coming from your feet all the way down through the ground, the underground, right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth. And imagine wrapping those roots around that rock. And see golden light coming from the rock, the light of your true wisdom. And see it coming up from the rock through the roots and through the underground, the ground, through the floorboards, up into your feet. And this golden light is going to move up through your body now, healing any part of you that is in physical pain or experiencing any sort of burning, any sort of inflammation, arthritis, anything that you have that you just notice. Maybe there's tension in the shoulders, Maybe there's something in the lower back. It doesn't really matter where it is. But if you want to set your intention now that this light is going to allow healing in that area, and see the golden light coming up through the feet, the ankles, swirling the ankles and up through the calves, up to the knees and swirling the knees, and up through the thighs, right up to the hips and swirling the hips, almost like a hula hoop, and on up through the torso, all the way through, right up to the top of the shoulders, and out through and down through the upper arms, the elbows, the lower arms, and out through the fingertips. And back over to the throat area and up through the neck with this golden light, all the way up through your head, and out through your hair. And this golden light is just surrounding you now. This is an elixir of light dedicated to your healing. And as you sit in this elixir of light that holds your wisdom and truth, set your intention for what you might like to receive today from this coaching clinic. It is a clinic, it's called a clinic for a reason, in the sense that you're being invited into a space of healing and clarity and awareness. And one of the things I'd like you to remember or to know today is that often our wisdom speaks to us in the form of a feeling. And I have noticed over time that a feeling of relief when I hear somebody speak, a feeling of relief that comes to me when I hear something, is usually the answer I've been looking for. So I invite you today in this call to notice anywhere you get a kind of, oh, thank God she said that, or anywhere that you just feel a sense of relief. I'll give you an example as we open up today, but let's just open up now. We can sit in our elixir of light as we go through the call and the clinic, and we can open up now by just opening our eyes and coming into the space fully. Just know you're safe in that light. And I was going to give you the example today. My mum has been sending me copies of Elle magazine ever since Francesco died in December. And today's copy arrived. It takes a while to get from Ireland to Italy at the moment. But today's copy arrived, and I felt such a sense of relief when I saw that the title of one of the articles on the cover was, or is, Dream Small, Why Everyone's Quitting Success. And I thought, oh, thank God, even the big publications are starting to write about and print articles about and invest time and energy into, why you don't have to follow your ambition if it's killing you. Whereas prior to that, it was always about go big or go home and go for your ambition or leave the room. And I felt a sense of relief, and it got me thinking that that often that sense of relief that we notice is, it's what we really want. You know, it's really what the soul is looking for. So that's why I invite, my clients and everybody here to just not so much be invested in the words, but to be invested in, where do you notice a feeling of relief when you read something or you hear something or you see something? Because that's your wisdom, and it's also your soul's way of saying, I want that. that's what I've been looking for. So I wanted to set the table today with, where I find a great sense of relief as well. And let me sort of preface it with a story. And then once you've heard what I share, I'm totally open to comments and questions and anything you want to ask me. But the story goes like this. For years, I thought my relationship was the problem. And so because I had that thinking, it made for quite a volatile situation at home. Would take things very personally, I was swinging a lot on, is this the man for me? Is this not the man for me? Am I in the right relationship, in the right place? It was so stressful to live that way, but unfortunately it was my norm for a number of years. And because of that level of stressful thinking, initially, because I didn't understand, let me say this another way. Initially, because that voice in my head was so compelling, the only way I could find relief at that point was to leave my relationship. So unfortunately, I kept leaving. And what would happen when I would leave is I would notice my mind would shut up. And then as that narrative stopped being so loud, I would notice that at some point it would occur to me or Francesco to reach out to one another. And then as time went on, it would occur to me, what was I thinking? What was I thinking to break up? And so we'd get back together and it would all be lovely. And we'd be in this lovely feeling and we'd carry on and then we'd bump up against some other challenges or difficulties like any couple. What changed for me was realizing that the narrative in my head didn't have to be listened to, wasn't very trustworthy. And that when I got into a low mood, when I got really tired and my energy went down, my lens innocently turned to, I need space from the relationship. This is because of the relationship. Not realizing that a drop in mood had occurred. Not understanding that a drop in mood is temporary. And it's a beautiful invitation to retreat, quieten down, don't make any decisions. Now, I didn't know that, and most of the world doesn't know that. So innocently, we are out there making what looks like the best decision in the moment, not realizing we're in very bad thinking at that time. So as you can imagine, ladies, I had a lot of regrets because the best my thinking that could come up with in a low mood was, you see, this is a problem with the relationship. You see, you need space. You see, this isn't the one for you. Now, here's the hope. Thankfully, I woke up to that noise. I remember I was on a retreat exploring truth and the fact that whilst we can't change the thinking that comes into our head, we really don't have to pay attention to about 97% of it. And I felt such a relief in realizing that it wasn't the relationship that was the issue. It was that I kept falling for the same insecure thoughts. And that when my mood dropped, my lens automatically turned to the relationship as a problem. Now, I work with clients who, when their mood drops, that's not where their lens turns. Their lens turns to their weight or their body image, or their lens turns to money and worry about finances. Everybody's lens might turn somewhere different. And the majority of people will tell you, yes, there's a problem over there. You need to go and look over there more deeply. You need to unblock it. You're stuck. When actually what's really happening is we just have habits of worry. And when we fall in our level of consciousness, also known as a low mood, when we drop into a low mood, whatever usual worry that comes up for you just gets amplified. And in that low mood, your lens will start looking over there. And so today I'm talking a little bit about the lens of relationship, because more and more people are coming to me just with that particular concern. Now, I'm not saying my journey and my experience is going to be the same for everybody. That this is quite personal to me. But what I will share, and I share this with my clients, is don't make a decision about your relationship in a low mood. Wait until the elevator of consciousness has gone back up and you're feeling better and you're feeling good. And then decide if something needs to be done. You know, innocently, I kept making my decisions, not realizing the lens had turned. I kept making my decisions about my relationship from a low place. And of course, my behavior as a result of that was very scattered and not particularly peaceful. Thankfully, I had a man in my life who also stopped taking things personally as he saw me stop taking things personally. And as a result of that, he began to become more compassionate towards my behavior rather than making it all about him. And so the very last time that I left Francesco, I think we lasted about 3 days apart. When we got back together again, he said, I don't care if you need to keep leaving me for the rest of our relationship. I'm going to be here when you come back. And something about that gave me a freedom to just be a messy me. Now, I know that's not the same for every woman, okay? But don't wait for your man to give that to you. I was blessed to have that. Don't wait for your man to give you that. Give it to yourself. Give it to yourself. be a messy you and see the innocence of that mess as nothing more than a drop in consciousness. And we all drop. We all drop. So the feeling of relief I got from realizing, oh, this isn't about the right man. This is about being in the right mind before you make decisions about your relationship, Grace. Oh, this isn't about being in the right place or the right job or having the right mindset for abundance. This is about being in your right mind. And when we start to get a bit of distance from the mind that's constantly chattering and insecure and churning on the same doubts and confusion, when we start to get a little bit of distance from that, which I love helping clients with, when we start to get a little bit of distance from that, we make the right choices from the right mind. So I'm a big fan of find your answers in a feeling of relief, because that's where truth is. And I'm a big fan of, if you need to say to your partner, I am in a really low mood and I'm probably going to act out in some sort of messy way. Can you bear with me? Can you be with me through this bit? Because it feels kind of low. Now I'm really sensitive to my low moods, and it's particularly helping me through my grief, because I can really tell the difference now between what's true and what's being made up from that low mood. So now when I drop into my low mood in my grief with Francesco gone physically, my low mood thinking can get really scary about the future, about the past, about all the what ifs. But the difference is I just know my indicators for that low mood. And it could be helpful for you too, to begin to get an awareness of your low mood symptoms. I know for me, I'm in a low mood when I start to take things personally, when I start to feel anxious, when everybody else looks like the problem, when I need to get away from people, when I need to control the circumstances. I mean, I'll give you a really good example. Like, there's a lot of Francesco's possessions here with where I am with the family. And in my low mood thinking and states, I really think I have to control the possessions, and I have to like make sure no one gets near them, and I need to be in the right state of mind to look at them, and no one else can touch them. When I'm not in a low mood, it really doesn't matter as much. It's kind of like, yeah, it doesn't matter if they want to go look at his stuff. It really doesn't matter. I don't have to be in a good state of mind to go through his things. I can just show up and go through them. So there's a lot of rules we make up when we're in a low mood. And you just want to get sensitive to that. Now, the beauty of having seen the depth of this, and I hope it's helping you see something today, meant that the remaining years of my life with Francesco were probably some of the best of the whole relationship. And I cannot tell you how valuable that is, given that he died so suddenly in December, to have had those years of rich, playful connection and me not needing to one foot in, one foot out. The stress had dissipated. In fact, we got so good together, we finally got engaged and we were planning to be married in 2022. So the hesitation fell away, the doubt fell away, the stress fell away, taking it personal fell away. And what fell in was love. That's available for all of you. That's available for all of mankind as they wake up to where they're operating from. Where are we making our decisions from? That does not mean you stay with someone when you know in your heart you're not in love, or it's abusive, or it's not for you. All I invite you to consider there is be on a higher floor of consciousness, feeling good, seeing clearly before deciding or speaking or negotiating or whatever. When you meet people with a clean, clear state of mind and a pure heart, even the most ugly situations can become graceful. Even the people you have the biggest trouble with can become agreeable. So happy to open up here at this stage if there's a question or a comment, something you want to hear a little bit more about. Happy to hear from you. Anything at all. I'll just give a few minutes to see, does anybody want to share? And you're welcome to write in the chat box if you prefer. Or unmute your line and just come on. You don't have to have heard something.
Hi, Grace.
Hey, who am I speaking to?
Danielle.
Hi, Danielle. Hang on a sec. There you go. I can see you now, honey.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I am glad that I was able to catch this call today, because it's usually, well, I'm working usually, and I'm not able to multitask very well, contrary to what my mind tells me. But something just gave me a gentle nudge, like, well, just listen today, because I actually happened to catch the reminder call before the time. And it's just been beautiful to listen, really. The first thing that I really heard was around the feeling of relief. I don't think I've really taken that emotion or that dropping in feeling with a word yet, that I can really describe. But I think relief to me feels practical. That makes sense. Like, it feels like something that makes makes sense to me because I felt it as I joined the call, and you were dropping us into the light in our bodies, and I felt relief because it and I don't know how to say this, but it gave me permission to be myself through a principles-based understanding that works for me, to embrace whatever it is that brings me home. And sitting and grounding myself into the earth is one of those things. Like, and you were doing that. And it was just like, yeah, I have permission to be me. And that brought me relief. And then afterwards you spoke about relief. And I was like, oh, that's the feeling that I was just in. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I also I don't normally write stuff down, but you had me writing. When you talked about, there was something fresh that I heard around when we are experiencing any type of low mood, what looks like a problem outside of us, and we go to our habitual pattern of thinking. Like, oh, that makes sense why it usually looks like X, Y, or Z is the problem. And I think I normally can see that there's a problem. And I think I've said this to you based on another call with Mavis, but going into the content of the thinking is one of the habits that I tend to do, but it was just a reminder that, oh, but the habit is the habit. Like, that's another reason why it's not even necessary to go into the content, because we naturally are going to find that and grasp onto that habitual thinking about, oh, it's not the right man relationship wise, or we're so different, or it's never going to work for me because I'm, too afraid to step out there, whatever it is. So I really, really, really loved that. I think that's going to be helpful for me going forward. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel it in you, Danielle, that it's you've been dropping in this number of weeks or months, into seeing more clearly. Again, it's not rocket science. It's kind of like, how do you feel about it all when you're not in a low mood? People don't realize how often they're in a low mood, or how quickly they drop out of that good feeling place where everything actually isn't a problem and back into the habit of worry, the habit of stress, the habit of blame. And that's really what we're talking about here. When we're dealing with other people, we're dealing with a habit of judgment and a habit of blame most of the time, innocently. I don't know any humans that aren't experiencing that. The difference being that when you start to wake up to that judgmental voice and you start to get a little bit more sensitive to the mood you're in, things are less serious. Things are just lighthearted. And you can make choices from a light heart, like, you know what, we've had our time, it's been wonderful, the lessons are learned, it's over. A heavy heart is optional when you're breaking up or deciding things. But I love that you're sensitive to the feeling, Danielle, and that's going to guide you. That is going to guide you. The voice in your head is not a guide. The voice in your head is habitual. The feeling of wisdom is your guide.
So I had this example pop up from actually last night because I was tired, of course, as normal in the evenings. And, my husband had come to me and said, well, hey, I don't feel like I'm, getting enough time. We're not spending enough time together. And that's what I would like. And I immediately went into my defense, like, well, I'm not going to apologize for taking care of myself first, and he called me out on that. And he called me out and said, that's not why I was telling you. I was telling you just because that's the way I was feeling, but not because you were, I wanted you to feel like you were doing something wrong. And he said, you automatically go on the defense. And that put him on the defense. And there was this little tiny feeling inside me that was like, and you said this when you were in your intro today, it was like the decision to be 2 feet in gave me just enough space to say, okay, I'm safe here to let this go. And to say, because I saw this point where I could have either defended my defense or I could have been like, you know what? Yeah, I was doing that thing, right? And it took courage for me to feel that I was safe enough to do that. And that's what I actually ended up doing. And we both went to bed fine, and we were able to spend a few minutes together. And it was just like, that is how your narrative about relationships, like that is how ordinary that it can feel when we have made that decision to feel safe no matter what our feelings are telling us. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It still feels like it's coming out, but I don't want to take up any more time, but I just wanted to say that.
No, you've seen something very important there. See, that's why relationships are such beautiful teachers. It's like an education as you go along. Now that you've seen that, Danielle, and what a great teacher he is, now that you've seen that, you get to kind of not really take things personal next time. Anytime I find that, oh God, I need space, I need to take care of myself, it's like alarm bell, your mind is full. Tell Francesco quickly, because there's going to be, repercussions in the relationship. So when I find myself needing to take care of myself, needing to get away from him, needing to close the door, and then maybe feel guilty about that, and it's already repeating itself at times now here, with the family, it's like, whoa, alarm bell, too much going on upstairs. And there's nothing wrong with telling people, I've got so much on my mind. So please, anything I said, please don't take it personally, because it's really, I just need to get some time, around this, some space around this. That's great, Danielle. That's great.
That's
good
helpful.
on you for seeing it.
Oh, I love that. That's helpful to hear, because that is what you're talking about when you said the awareness of the low, the low mood. Like what do we do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I do. Like, oh, I need time.
Yeah. Well, and I heard you say you knew you were tired. That's the first place.
Right.
We get tired and we start blaming the people around us or the circumstances. I noticed in my life that I had a habit of worrying about my well-being. And what that did was, it meant I ended up controlling circumstances and people around me. If I wasn't controlling like what I was putting into my body, I was controlling, okay, well, we can go out until 10 o'clock, but I'm going to need about 8.5 hours sleep. So we need to get back home and make sure that I get this. Otherwise, I'm not going to be okay. I didn't know I was in a habit of worrying about my well-being, as if well-being had a limit. And so that made for a stressful way of living, and it made for stressful relationships with people, because it meant I had to shut my door and get my meditation done, and no one is allowed to disturb me. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel okay. It's just another outside in like way of living, and it's so innocent. But we start waking up to these habits of worry, habits of defense, habits of tiredness, and then we get lighthearted about it, Danielle. Oh, there I go again. I missed it. That's it. There I go again. I'm taking it out on you. I missed it. Now, you got to know the difference between, because I'm not a relationship expert, remember. You've got to know the difference between someone who's, if you're with someone who's abusive, let's say, of course your mind is going to be constantly full of worry and stress. Of course, it's probably going to be a good idea to get some space. Of course, it's probably going to be a good idea to consider where it's going. But in the general everyday relationships and the people I'm speaking with, that's not the case. And in your example, it's just beautiful to help people, Danielle. So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see, I can see that we had a couple of questions here. If anybody wants to come on live and ask a question or share, you're very welcome to. Here we go. So a question about a job. Okay, someone's written in, how to navigate being in a job you hate after having made your own money doing what you love. I feel in deep pain and suffocating. Should I just ignore the low mood? Oh, that's a brilliant question. Yeah, see, I don't know, caller, if you heard me earlier, but what I said earlier was when we drop, when our mood drops, we have a tendency for our lens, how we see the world, to go to a particular place. And for some of my clients, that place is their job, not their relationship. Maybe they don't have a relationship. Maybe it's their body, maybe it's their job, maybe it's their whatever, their finances. So it's not about ignoring your low mood as much as it's about noticing if something is suffocating and painful, like a job, if that's the feeling you're experiencing when you're there, it's a really good indicator that you're living low inside, that your experience of the job is continuing to present the opportunity to live high. So again, as we go up the elevator of consciousness, the job can look better. The experience of the job can feel better. That's why some people that I have worked with have gone on to leave their jobs completely and do something else. And some of them have said to me, oh, I've decided I don't want to leave anymore. And I've said, well, why not? Oh, because I'm enjoying my job. I didn't think it was possible. And the reason for that enjoyment is that change in consciousness, it cleared up the outside. Now, rather than, should I leave my job? Oh my God, it's the job. I wish I was back making my own money. I'm much better than this. I know I can do it. Why am I here? I would just encourage you to get a little bit of distance from that narrative. Because whether you're going to change jobs in 6 months or 3 months or 3 days, your experience of the job can become more pleasant immediately. And then you can make your changes as you go along. Your experience of the job can get more graceful. And then the decision that you make from that place will be very different to the decision that you make from the place of suffocation and pain. What I have seen to happen for people is when they make the decision from a low mood, whether it's their job or their relationship, very soon afterwards, they're back in the same situation. You know, different walls, same experience. And the reason for that is just the innocent nature of our thinking hasn't changed. So we're just having the same experience. Our habit of dissatisfaction has not left us. So we're back in the same experience. I would really encourage anybody, fall in love with the place and the person you're currently in front of, and then make your changes. I remember when I was leaving my day job and I was working with Dr. John DiMartini, was my mentor at the time. And I remember he said, you know, Grace, you know, you really want to show up there every day as if you are loving it and leaving it. And there was a truth to that. He suggested that we should never leave a job in a bad feeling, because the next job we get is going to be the same. How can we expect any different? And again, that just points to, hey, we have habits of judgment about jobs, about people, about bodies, about wealth, about money, about whatever. We have habits of judgment and we bring them with us. And depending on how low we go in our mood, how tired we get, that habit of judgment will get louder and louder and louder and louder. The beautiful thing about what you're saying is that the noise, the suffocating and the pain feeling you're getting is letting you know that the noise is so loud right now. It's really loud for those symptoms to be appearing like that. So the invitation is not to ignore your low mood, but rather don't trust your thinking right now about the job, about anything. Come into the space, quieten down, get yourself into center, let the elevator of consciousness rise up back to a good feeling. And from that place, you'll know what to do. I hope that's been helpful. That was a really good question. So let's have a look here. Do we have anyone else? Diane, I love this way of thinking, as I've made decisions in a low mood, which on reflection would have had a different outcome. Yeah, exactly.
Say, yeah. Hi.
Hello, who am I speaking to?
Hello,
Diane.
hello, it's Diane. Hi. Hello. I've bounced back. I've missed a couple of your other ones with Mavis, but I'll be there next week. Yeah, it really speaks volumes to me, really. And like you say, it's not rocket science, but when you're not in the right thought process or you've got too much internal chatter, you can't even see what's right in front of you, if you know what I mean. To think clearly enough to see that actually the decisions that you're making aren't necessarily valid, or they're not clear. And it's like, you know, obviously, and now you've pointed it out, actually, all through my life, I've made decisions, the right or wrong ones, due to low emotion. And so I'm actually looking forward to doing it differently from this way forward, because actually I'm sure I'm going to have a better experience, really, and also from tiredness as well. Like you've already mentioned, you know, being tired, and when you're tired, again, you're not thinking logically either. Well, I'm certainly not. And I've been suffering a lot with insomnia. Well, it's getting better, but that's another story. And of course, that sleep deprivation can have major effects on your ability to make decisions and just function generally, really. So thank goodness I'm coming through the other side of that now. But I was just resonate. That's why I made a comment so much that actually you're totally right. Of course you are. That low mood, you know, making decisions on low mood and being honest actually with people which I love that, and I'm going to do, because I internalize everything. I think I've got to be this happy smiley face and I'm in control and I'm really strong, and you know, and I'm a go-to person, and I am a nurturer and everything, but I don't nurture myself enough. And so because I internalize everything, and then I just blow, you know, I just totally not lose it awfully, but I say things or make decisions because I'm too tired and I've taken too much on. Whereas to approach it differently now is actually say to people, if my head's too full, actually, I'm feeling a bit stressed, I'm feeling a bit tired, I'm going to back off a bit. If you just bear with me, can you respect that? I know now, giving myself permission to actually verbalize that will help me to deal with all that internal chatter and probably make better decisions from the back of that. So thank you for that, for pointing out the obvious, but it's not obvious if you know, if you're not in the right frame of mind, or you sort of running on empty, you know, a lot of the, or have been on empty for a lot of the time. And so that my energies have shifted actually over the last week. So, you know, being able to come on calls like this, I feel like I've got something to add and something to say. So thank you. And thank you for, again, pointing out that and me, being able to act upon it actually going forward. So thank you.
You're so welcome, Diane. You're so welcome. Yeah, so good that you can be here. And, you know, I think that many women can resonate and connect with saying nothing and thinking that it's their fault and they should know better or they should do better, and then suddenly exploding, you know? Yeah. So just saying to people, you know, people are a lot easier on us than we are on ourselves. So just saying to people, you know, I just know I'm really tired right now, and I'm probably going to say something that at some point that really I don't mean. So bear with me, you know, that's good. Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, this has been a good conversation, and I'm going to take the conversation a bit further. If any of you want to join, I'm doing a webinar next Monday night. My colleague and mastermind partner, Dominic Scafidi, has invited me to be on a webinar with him, talking to his group about the eternal nature of relationships, but more specifically, I have another dog coming in. He's late for his walk, so I'll have to get going. The eternal nature of relationships, and more specifically, falling back in love every day. So if you have enjoyed today's conversation, you know, we'll go a bit deeper Monday evening. Just private message me if you want the link. You'll see the link in my group anyway. And for those of you that are already on the Conversations with Mavis and Grace course, the next session is tomorrow evening. So we'll see. It's tomorrow. So you'll get the link for that. Mavis and I are also running a workshop. So we're doing a workshop on less is more. If the idea of running your life and your business without cycles of stress and tension and exhaustion appeal to you, and if actually you'd like to look at what you can quit doing that would help you rather than what you need to do more of, we're running a Less is More workshop. So you can get the info for that on gracefulcoaching.net/less is more, or I can send it to you. And that's happening. I think that's coming up this week, actually. It's very reasonably priced. It's not some huge investment, but it's a good deep dive over a number of hours with myself and Mavis. So I hope that's been helpful today, everybody. And I hope you take from this a little bit more of a light heart and a bit less seriousness about your job or your partner or your relationship or the world around you, and keep checking in on where you are just coming from. Is it a low mood? Is it a narrative that is noisy and compelling? Or is it that place of wisdom and relief? Because there's a big difference between the two. And the more you get to know the difference, the more graceful life becomes. So lovely to be here. Lots of love, everybody.